Coming to you live on the Government Access Channel from Mario Bagnoni Chambers in beautiful downtown Erie. It's the Taxpayers Hotline Show with your hosts, Kaz Kwiatkowski and John Steiner.
Good afternoon, everybody, on a fine Monday afternoon. Welcome to the Taxpayer Hotline on the Government Channel. Kaz is over there playing city treasurer, doing his count money or something over there. Oh, there he is. He's over there doing some work, but he is coming over. But in the meantime, I brought County Councilman Anderson on today to talk about some things going on in our community. So, Carl, welcome to the show.
John, thanks for having me.
How is everything going over at the county these days?
The county is doing well. Erie County is on the move, and we are moving forward, and we're doing well.
You guys have got a lot of new blood over there. Got some new people, some new faces. Who are some of these people? What do you know about them?
Well, you're referring to county council.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest change in turnover and representation on county council since the home rule charter began.
Really?
40 plus years ago.
How many new faces are there?
Four new council members.
Really?
This year, and myself and Scott Rasted are 2 years into our term.
Right.
And then Andre Horton is in his 5th year. So it's really a new council.
Right. Wow. Well, hey, the phone lines are open, 870-1284. If you have anything you want to call and talk about, please do. Usually every week we have a guy that calls here, like right at the beginning of the show. And just, it's usually an interesting call, but he didn't call this week, so that's a good thing. I'm going to make sure this thing's working.
Make sure it's on.
Yeah, it's working, so that's a good thing. So
let me mention the 4 new members then.
Let's talk about
I didn't
them.
mention their names.
Let's talk about them.
We have Brian Shank is representing East County.
Okay.
Retired corrections officer.
Really?
From Cambridge Springs. Former military guy.
Right.
Ellen Schauerman is from the West County.
Right.
And she is a neonatal nurse with Hammett.
Right.
Mary Rennie is representing the west side of Erie. She is a former director of the library, retired.
Pull your microphone.
And Kim Clear, representing Mill Creek, and she is a teacher in the Mill Creek school system.
Good, so we got a little bit of everything. Like 3 ladies, right? Three,
correct.
3 new ladies, yeah.
Correct. All, yes, 3 of the 4 were.
That's interesting. So, county, you guys are involved in a lot of things over there. Let's see what we got going on here. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, so you're taking Mr. Katz's place?
I'm just pinch hitting for Kaz. He's over there playing city treasurer, and he's got his tie on again today, looking good.
Yeah.
What can we do for you today?
I was just noticed your difference. You're taking Mr. Katz's place. Did you ever go over at that? Hey, I heard that the bus company's gonna cut out some of the service and that.
Yeah, they cutting some routes in Mill Creek, I believe it is.
Yeah, so I guess the Route 30 ain't gonna stop at the West Erie Plaza, but they're gonna still go to Giant Eagle, ain't they?
Yeah, I think they are going to Giant Eagle. From what I had saw, West Erie Plaza is out of the loop, and there's probably a reason behind that. I know, Mr. Anderson, aren't you guys, wasn't the Mill Creek and the bus company, wasn't there issues there?
Unfortunately, yes. The supervisors in Mill Creek Township wanted to cut their funding to the bus service, and they discussed it with them that cutting their funding was going to cut the services for their residents, and the supervisors chose to allow services to be cut.
How about the people that work on at the Mill Creek Mall? How are they gonna get to work?
Well, I don't think that any of the routes leading up to the Mill Creek Mall are on the block. I think that, just like you said, a lot of people that live in the city work out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, for Mill Creek to not want to do their part or pay their part when they clearly have the money to do it, it's kind of,
Yeah.
it's kind of bizarre because, you know, a lot of people, they do, like the West Erie Plaza, they're trying to bring new customers and bring some of the old customers back because the plaza is really growing, and I don't know if you've been out that way, but it's really taken form.
Not way yet.
What's that?
I've been out there.
Yeah. I mean, don't you agree? I mean, it looks really good. They've put a lot of money into it. They've got businesses there that are investing in the plaza, but
Noticed there was a lot of businesses moving out of the Liberty Plaza.
right.
There's still a few there. You got Fred's Furniture and that's still there and that.
Yeah, right. So it's a little surprising that Mill Creek would make that decision as far as cutting their funding, but
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people in Mill Creek can afford vehicles. That's why they live there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I do have to say, John, that it comes down to a bigger issue as well, and as Kaz walks in and we welcome him
Yes.
today,
Hey.
great to see you, Kaz.
Hey, man, you did great.
We just started. We haven't had a chance to
I
screw
hear you
anything up
talking
yet.
about the controversial.
All right. Well, I'll leave you guys go.
Okay, well, thanks for calling.
Yeah, I was just starting to mention, Kaz, that this is an issue that, of course, the city faces and the county faces, but you know, a lot of the townships and all of us have issues with, you know, with property taxes, but you know, everybody has to pay their fair share.
You're talking about the buses, right?
Yeah,
But that came up
this,
this during budget session.
yeah, but this is even it's a larger issue with the townships because you know, a lot of these townships haven't raised taxes. They pride themselves on saying they haven't raised taxes in 20, 25 years, or they're cutting their taxes, but the expenses continue to go up,
Right.
and somebody's paying for that no matter what. And if the local townships don't step up and participate with everybody else, with the city, with the county, then it falls on the city or the county or the county to cover those shortfalls. And then what happens is services get cut in those local municipalities, and it hurts the people.
Right.
The people are who are getting hurt, and that's the concern.
Well,
You know,
I remember during budget, Carl, I mean, we were mad because, A, we gave up a seat or so, you know, for cooperation, and then we find out that, you know, we were faced with a budget shortfall. We had to make a bad decision. We had a tough one. And, you know, we could have cut the EMTA. You know, that would have saved some money, but then what would that done to, you know?
You know, a lot of city residents do rely on that to get to work. And
But I mean, it's beneficial in Mill Creek too. I mean,
oh, yeah,
what do you think those people are spending their money?
Right.
Not in Erie,
right.
you know, right?
Well, I mean, the gentleman that just called, I mean, he's asking about Giant Eagle, so he probably goes out there to Giant Eagle and does his shopping out there. You know, and like I was just explaining, you know, the West Erie Plaza, they're trying to do a new renaissance out there. And so you'd think that any way of transportation, I mean, and it wouldn't kill Mill Creek's budget or some of these townships' budgets in order to put in for that service. I mean, what do I know?
I mean, we're talking about like $25,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that?
That's what we're
spread out
talking
piece?
about.
So, come
Yeah,
on,
I
right?
mean, we're talking about 25, and I think, I don't exactly quote me on this, but I think the negotiated amount was 16,000 that they actually finally came up with.
Uh-huh.
So it was a $9,000 decrease, but we're talking about $9,000 in Mill Creek's budget, and now cutting the services for people that are using EMT.
I mean, that's not even 0.1% of their budget.
Yeah, it's penny wise and pound foolish.
Yeah.
is
It's
what it
like
is.
50 cents a person out there, probably.
You know, I don't understand sometimes why government makes decisions.
Well, because it looks good on, everybody's afraid to raise taxes, but.
It
you know,
looks
Carl's
good on
right, though.
paper, but-
It's coming.
Well, you guys already raised, well, not you anymore, but, well, yeah, you guys raised taxes.
What are you gonna?
You had to.
You know what it comes down to, John? People argue with me, they're mad at me, I know they're mad.
Yeah,
It came down to the only place we could really cut, when you looked at our budget, I don't know if the county's the same, but ours is people, benefits, debt, okay?
yeah,
The debt was caused over the years, but when you get down to insurance, pensions, payroll,
Yeah.
people, and if you cut services or people, that's about all you can do. So it came down to, are we gonna lay off police and fire? That was the answer.
I think, aren't both up to full complement now,
What's that?
police and fire?
The other day, they just had the new firemen, they keep it up to, full complement. It's never gone down, but they have laid off in the past. That's not something that, that would be impossible. But can you afford that now? You look at, what we got going on. You got fires going on pretty good, old houses. We got the perception of the police being busy every night.
Yeah.
Now, you can't,
Were you getting a lot of, speaking of the police, were you getting a lot of calls on what's that nightclub, the Energy?
both of them, the people here are every meeting. And it's not like the mayor's not aware of it or the police chief. Council told him, we don't have the power to force them, but when the people complained to us and they called us, I even went off my own time to look at it. And the mayor and chief are aware of it, and they tell us they're aware of it.
Yeah.
But to these residents, it's like a living hell every night.
Well, I mean, why don't they just post a police car cruiser right out
Well,
front?
here's the questions we don't know. If they can be a club, and I guess that's okay.
Yeah,
But if they vend it,
right,
they're not a bunch of guys just getting in. If they're selling liquor or selling food, then the county's involved with the food.
right.
You gotta have a food license.
Inspections, right.
Liquor should be liquor control board, so whatever's going on there,
So so basically, most of it's under would be the state laws regarding bottle.
well, it could be under us with disorderly house, or, as they pointed out, we also have rules on, what do you call it, not disorderly house, but,
Disorderly.
doing something outside of your proper zoning. Misuse, like,
Right.
but,
I mean, it's unfortunate that those people have to deal with shootings every weekend. There was another one this weekend I saw.
well, sure it is, and it comes down to, people are finding loopholes in the law. Because they don't go out there and they're not a club per se, the LCB can't directly go in, now they gotta make a case.
There's the bottle clubs. I mean, those have been around since we were
But they're illegal from what I understand.
illegal.
Illegal, I heard.
Well, you can't serve anything, but you can BYOB. If you're over
I'm not so
21.
sure, I think the LCB's involved in that, but yeah, I'd have to check with I was asking some of the legislators, and it's kinda like a gray area, but
Oh, is it?
like a bottle club, if a bunch of guys wanna get together, that's one thing, but when you sell admission and you have a bottle club, I don't think that goes.
I saw.
There's a difference between a bunch of us getting together and buying a place and having a weekly meeting of the East Side Fishermen or something.
Well, I saw one of the places they were having a twerking contest.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, twerking contest.
That was the one on Ash Street.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting.
Well, tell me now they're going in there and they're not charging.
Oh, for sure they're
I
charged.
mean, come on,
Twerkers, they get paid.
Well, we got Carl here, so let's,
Yeah, we could talk about some. Carl, you're the liaison to the vote here. What would your title be on that?
With the election?
Yeah.
I was elected by my colleagues, chairman of the election board again.
I mean, and with this being an election year, I know you guys. I remember you guys got some new machines, but what else is going on with that situation?
Real important year this year for all of us, countywide. A lot of important elections, and we'll have our new voting system up and running under the mandates of state law. We had to buy a system that allowed for paper voting and/or paper trail backup. The county chose to have a system that chooses both. So voters this time can vote by paper ballot, or they can vote by machine and then get a paper ballot backup. We are very confident and feel good about the vendor that we chose, Dominion Voting. So we've been working very well with them. The election office has been working very well with them. But you know, in this compromise that the governor worked out with the legislature to help pay for the new voting systems across the state, there was a new some changes to the voting laws in Pennsylvania, and so Act 77 of 2019 encompasses some of those new changes, which will come into effect in the primary this year.
Like what kind of changes?
So to register to vote, it's normally been 30 days prior. It will be 15 days prior to the election. You have no time limit.
Hold on one second, caller.
Up until the day of the election to actually get an absentee ballot. But you'll no longer be put on the absentee ballot list permanently unless you have a permanent illness or disability for doing that. You'd have to reapply, and you know, there's some other changes.
It's like elderly people that would have trouble walking or,
Correct, yeah.
okay, that's good.
Hold that thought. We'll pick it
Yeah,
up.
we can talk.
Go ahead, caller.
Hi guys, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, you know, I was thinking about the mayor's press conference this past week, and he was saying how they're going to have the Gannon students come out and do a assessment of every home in the city of Erie. And I was thinking about it, and Gannon has a direct involvement with the Northwest Bayfront project, let's say. They have a vested interest in that. Don't you think that's a bit of a conflict of interest? Have it their students?
Yeah. Caller, let me ask you this question first. Was this in regards to the census?
No, that's in regards to code enforcement and evaluating every single home in the city for code violations.
I think what they're doing is they're not there no more, so. I think what it is they're using them to do a census on the condition of houses and stuff.
Yeah, but don't you think that's a real conflict of interest? And will the citizens be able to see the results of all the houses and everybody and the assessment made on every house in the city?
Well, I would think yes. You know, if it's the government has to, the Freedom of Information Act gives you a lot of rights.
Yeah.
And I think as for the conflict of interest, yeah, if you even think there is one, then there probably is one.
Well, that's because, you know, they would want all the values to be low. So in case if they want to come in and scoop
Well,
it
not
up.
only that, they would have an advanced knowledge of which ones were, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have problem, I would say maybe they shouldn't do their area. You know, but if they want to have the kids do the other areas.
Yeah, right.
But then I've got some other complaints like, how are we gonna know who they are, you know?
The other thing I was thinking about is they were talking about they're going to assess even so much as the sidewalks. Now, those are huge expenses. And, you know, everybody's idea of what a safe sidewalk is different. And sure, I know there are some sidewalks that are probably just destroyed and very, you know, dangerous. But there are sidewalks that aren't destroyed, that aren't really dangerous, that might be deemed a problem. And, you know, for the regular citizen to fight this assessment that's been done on their home, that's going to cost them possibly tens of thousands of dollars to repair, then throw in the cost of an attorney on top of that, I don't think this is a very reasonable thing to do.
Well, first of all, they can't assess it. That's up to the county. And I don't think the county, I don't think they have authority, do they? The county appoints the assessor, correct?
Correct, right.
No, we're talking two different kinds of assessments.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the evaluation that these students are going to do on different code issues regarding the house, not the overall cost of the house.
Like a light assessment kind of thing?
Yeah, I think they're gonna say, they're gonna identify houses that have blight problems,
Is that what it is?
sidewalks that are not proper under probably the code.
Right.
this in continue furtherance of the Buki report,
Yeah,
and the
You
plan.
go back to Mr. Howard Bibbs, who spoke, I believe it was in August, mid-August, to City Council, and he was on that committee that for blight review. He went out and looked at houses that were being deemed a blight issue, and he said there was nothing wrong with those houses. He said that there was no reason for and he's right there on City Council on YouTube. You can watch it. He said that, and I know you were there, Cass, to rewatch that video might be beneficial. This is really, it seems like a real underhanded way to get property. And it'll be real interesting to see how many properties in the Northwest Bayfront area are deemed problem houses.
well, the last time they hired that extra person and they went through there, it was a little controversial because they walked up to one old lady, I remember this, and they told her she needed a new sidewalk. Well, the problem was, it was the water department that screwed up the sidewalk.
Exactly.
And
That
so,
happens
you know,
a
they're the
lot.
ones, so she had to, they said, well, you're gonna have to like, trim it down, you have to grind it down like,
Yeah.
cause they had a bump in it. Then another person, they went after him, this is a good one, Carl. They go after him because the handrail wasn't proper. But the handrail was approved by our people. And then our people, our same people in a different department, went against, the wishes of the other. So I'm going, here we go, one handle.
I mean, if we're just using this as like a guideline or just a little extra tool, but to not base any actual funding or any real action on it,
Well, the plan is, I think, and I can't say that, you know, if you judge by what they have in mind, they're trying to assess all the problems first, see how they can either take care of them or correct them, which may or may not be through grants, but may cost, you know,
yeah,
but there is a definite mission and marching orders.
yeah. I'll tell you one thing about the Lower West Side, though. I travel through there a lot, and I'll tell you, they've done a really good job over there. I tell you, they've dealt with the blight, the lighting, the sidewalks, the houses have been cleared up, the houses that have been,
But there are some, John, that they've been there for like 15 years, and
You know, I just drove through that Northwest, right over 4th Street. I had to go across town, and I was on State Street, and I thought, what the heck, I'm going to drive over 4th Street. And Gannon owns an obscene amount of property.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they don't pay taxes.
no, they don't. They just bought the other day, I'm gonna check how much that is. They just bought that, what we used to call the old Robinson Connor building. And that'll be interesting. They're putting 100 kids in there. That 4 floors, that's 25, you know, students a floor. Gotta be some pretty nice apartments in there. What do you think?
But that one may end up being a trade-off building, right?
What do you mean?
Gannon may give up some of their other properties elsewhere.
I hadn't heard that, did you?
I thought that there was a deal with the people who the donor who bought the property for Gannon, that there was,
Maybe, I
that
don't.
they were consolidating some of their facilities or something by taking over that building.
I want you to take a look at the fact that this is a huge conflict of interest, having Gannon students assess one house in the city. I mean, number one, I wouldn't want them on my property. And how would Joe Schember feel, or any of you gentlemen, how would you feel if the citizens started to go assess your house?
Well, first, I think what they should have done to them, and I said this, if you're gonna do that, like our code people are deputized by ordinance. I think that's what we need to do. They need to bring that before council put special legislation that, they are authorized, because we are, well, I'll let it, we are basically allowing them to represent the city, and if something happens, I think we're liable. I don't know, I haven't seen the contract or anything, but I would think,
I just worry about the people who are gonna have been told that they have all these problems, and they don't have the money or the resources, number one, to fight with an attorney,
Right.
or to fix all this petty little crap that comes up.
well, we need a rule, what I say we lack all the time is a proper rule out where we send letters out to the citizens, we have a news conference that's just about that. We explain to them that, these people are gonna have identification, they're,
Kind of like the new recycling laws.
you see what happened there?
Yeah.
Chaos. Nobody bothered going to the stores and asking them if they would carry, you still can't buy bags like that, except I think you have to go outside the city.
We looked all over, and what was really awful is we had just bought a case of those blue bags.
Yeah, there you go. But wouldn't it have been nice if you had told people 2 months ago not to,
What they should have,
paper down with your bag purchase,
now what they should have did was they should have, knew this was coming.
They did notice that.
Then you write grants to get these plastic things to distribute to the people.
We were
That's why Mill Creek had so many of them. They have somebody that writes grants for that
Well,
stuff.
we were told to COG that this was coming.
How long ago?
Late summer, okay.
Okay.
And they said that they would, the COG was gonna, and they did probably tell everybody what was coming. In the county, they had a county rep there telling us what was gonna happen, but, it's at our level here in the building that we need to roll out, something to the taxpayer and say,
Yeah.
effective in about 2 months, this is what's gonna happen.
That could have been handled a lot better.
Sure could have.
Go ahead, caller.
Now, those blue bins that you're talking about, though, that's a double-edged sword, because now we have that quality of life ticketing thing, and if you don't have your bin back before you're behind your house before sunrise, which I think is obscene, you open the door for a ticket. So we don't use cans, we use bags. So I don't have to run out in my pajamas at the crack of dawn, get in a trash can because I might get a ticket. And so those blue bins, that's a double-edged sword.
Right. Well, all right, thanks for calling, caller.
Hey, it's called conflict of interest. Tell Joe.
I think they watch sometimes. They'll get the message.
I hope they do.
Thank you.
The caller does bring up a point about another important, thing that's happening this year.
Hold on a second, caller.
The census.
Yep, very
2020 is important
We had
census.
we had the woman that's gonna oversee
Census
it.
coordinator,
Yeah,
yeah.
she was on here.
We told her she can come back again,
Yeah, we need to
just
get her.
prior to when they,
Yeah.
The, county council has stepped forward and funded that position,
I'll have the.
for the community. Erie County is one of the few areas across the state.
well, it's huge, because even the counties,
Have to have a proper
Yeah,
count.
but we have our own person, not just somebody that the Census Bureau is bringing in. And that's the position that
'Cause
she
we know
has.
It's a joke. Go ahead, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
How are you today?
Not too bad. I see you got the county boy with you today, huh?
Yeah, we mix it up a little bit.
Beautiful. Kaz is looking good as usual.
oh, thank you.
He's all clean.
But it's tough when you got two guys like this next to you.
Yeah, right.
Tough to
Anyways,
look good or
I'm
look
going to
bad.
address this one to old Hell Steiner.
Yeah.
Because, Kaz, you're out of the loop now. You're not a councilman anymore. And this is regarding the old Club Energy.
Ah,
Put forth some energy here. What do you think, John? And maybe the county councilman will have some ideas on how to get something rolling here, or ordinance or what have you, to those people are living a nightmare over there on 22nd Street, don't you think?
I totally agree with you, and I think we should post some type of police officers, a squad car right out front of that place.
Oh, that's they got to go a little farther than that,
No,
John.
I
Come
will-
on,
I
we got to
will-
get that
th-
place closed down. We got a private cop there.
That's the only thing that the city aspect, because a lot of the laws that dictate what goes on there is a state.
I don't know about that. They can enact a city ordinance. I know
I believe I sent, I think it's Reading. Reading has a city ordinance. I think I sent that to the mayor regarding bottle clubs and that they have to register with the city. They have to pay a certain amount of money to be able to open, and they have to abide by certain regulations, whether it's health department. They can only be open in certain hours of the night. I mean, it's all in the ordinance that I sent them, but apparently nothing's getting done.
Well, it seems like there's one excuse after another. Like, we got rules on non-conforming use, disorderly houses, public nuisance, all that. And the last time this happened, do you remember that bar down by Wilson Middle School?
Yeah, that was, right across the street.
Right. I knew the gentleman now that bought it. The poor guy, his house was pockmarked with 9mm rounds all the time. And the only way I got it solved, we would say here, we got it under review and this. I went to one of my legislators, and he got the state involved, and they put the pressure on the local, and they did a concerted effort, because look, it comes down real simple. If they are selling liquor in there, that's illegal without a license. If they're selling food, it's illegal without a license.
That's all county and state.
Right.
They're the ones that have to address that.
And the city has a conforming use. If they're not conforming to the use of the zoning, okay, then, what they gotta do is put a power play on, and if they are, they're sure, let me tell you this, they didn't make that real clear to council when I was on there. Now, I know they don't wanna leak things, but somebody, either the president, the member of council that the liaison, the mayor, they should all be in the loop that, hey, you know what? We can't let this out, but we are working on the problem. Because these people look at every day like, and you're right, sir, I couldn't even imagine, and I went down there a couple times and I saw what they did.
It's a problem. You would need 3 different government entities to actually work together.
But they have done it.
To come up with a solution, and we need to do it because, like he said, and like I talked about earlier, there's shootings there every weekend, and it's unfortunate that young kids in our city can't get together, have a good time without going outside and acting like fools. Back in the days, people would fist fight, there'd be fights, and okay, but nowadays it's not like that.
And it's not only the energy, you got the other one
on 23rd and Ash, or 24th and Ash, right by
and one's at Wayne, the other one's at Ashen.
Yeah, what's the market over there, Carl?
Seraphini's,
or Seraphins, yeah.
No, you guys are talking about getting these governmental agencies together, several of them, and they sure did it for that fire.
Yes, they did, and it's a shame that they
we'll need 5 people to perish, to die.
And everybody got together, state, local, ordinances were enacted, blah, 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 and then they got it done.
But a lot of these ordinances, sir, are right on the book right now.
Oh, I understand that. Here's the kicker. Here's the bad thing about this. I mean, this actually sort of ridiculous. Let's say I'm a legitimate businessman and I procure a legitimate liquor license somewhere. I buy it from, say, some bar. Let's say 6th and Parade sells out. What's that? Mousie's. That's not Mousie's anymore. It's Pete's Pub.
Yeah.
Pete's sell out. So I buy the liquor license. I don't buy the building. I just buy the liquor license. Now, I want to take that liquor license and I want to open it up there at 22nd and Reed in a former bar. I can't do that. It's against city ordinance.
Why is that?
I'm doing this legally.
Well, you have to get the okay of council to move it.
Don't you have the zoning? You guys just check the zoning and everything.
Well, we just okayed one that came in from another township. When it crosses the line, you got to vote on that. I don't know about I don't think we vote on within the city.
Yeah.
That goes by LCB, as long as they meet the conforming zoning. In other words, you can't put it in just any building.
The zoning, you can't put a bar in a residential district anymore in the city. These older bars that they used to be, those are all grandfathered in.
Well, yeah, you'd have to have what you call
they're done.
You'd have to have a hearing before the zoning board, and
right.
And that then it comes before council, and
they're not going to approve that.
Probably not like they used to.
But yet with these outfits, they just move in willy-nilly and away they go. I mean, there's something wrong in the system here that's allowing these.
Here's how they're attacking the problem. There's somebody that I know that's trying to sell a tavern. trying to sell a bar. And they're interested in buying it, but when they go to the bank and say, I want to borrow such and such money to purchase a tavern, banks aren't lending them the money. So what they want is everybody to start joining clubs to where they can monitor who's coming in and who's doing what. So that's one aspect that I think the government and the state and even the bankers don't see it as a wise investment, because a lot of these taverns go under, especially on the east side of town, because of all the problems and stuff going on over there. So
To get something going, these things could be opening up next to your house there, John.
hey, you know what? Let's say when the daycare before the fire was over there, and if you would have called and said, we would have been having discussions. If 5 kids hadn't died over there, they'd still be saying, well, this person has to do that. They'd still be passing the buck around on who needs to do what to get something done.
Absolutely. So it's probably going to take a shooting and a murder, not of one of the patrons of the bar, so to speak.
Yeah.
Have to take, and it's a sad thing that it's going to probably take some innocent person.
Correct.
What's sad is you got a business that exists near there that's, 60, 70, maybe years old?
The what?
You got a business located near one of them.
Oh, you're talking about the grocery store.
Right, I mean, he's been there,
Seraphims.
yeah. And
Seraphims, yeah.
then you got a very well-known club,
And
the Trinity Club, that's,
and their parking lot is literally adjacent.
and look at the fine work that the Trinity Church and the club
Yeah.
has done,
Yeah.
trying to clean up that neighborhood,
Yeah. And it's just that some people don't know how to act. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, that's where the laws have to take effect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it needs to be a concerted effort, led by our East Side State Representative. I mean,
I can tell you the one, well, I'll say it, Pat Harkins gave me a lot of help the first time around.
Yeah.
And, I said, Pat, this is beyond me now.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be concerted effort
Right.
amongst the 3 bodies, actually led by Pat.
Now, what made that easy was that other place was an actual bar.
Yeah.
So they had a license. What makes these so difficult is they don't have a license.
Right.
So,
I mean, I don't know how they could open that right in that area. I don't know.
you can you can have a club.
Yeah.
You can have, a bunch of us can buy a building and meet there.
Right.
We want to have a clubhouse. But when you start selling admission and vending,
Yeah. Right.
You guys have a good day. I'm hang up.
Have a good day. I mean, we could talk about that for
well,
hours.
I think it gets frustrating because
Yeah.
there's a lot of work going on in that neighborhood.
Yeah. So,
Wait, you got, Carl, you know what it is? Hey,
go ahead, caller.
Hello, guys. When are the city and county property taxes going to be sent out?
the taxes, we are sending them out, as we speak. They're ready to go, they're being sent to the mailer to get sent out. They should be here in a matter of a few days.
Oh, you mean I should look for them by next week?
Yeah, we put them all in we checked them, they've been verified. We have to work with the county to make sure everything lines up right. I signed for the new ones. We put them in envelopes. They were supposed to be delivered to we have a mailer that takes care of that service, and they'll be going out, as I understand, either today or tomorrow. So you should be getting them real quick.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for calling.
I think
are you gonna be on next
sorry.
week?
Say that again.
You're going to be on the day after the big game?
Yeah, I think so.
What's that?
Are we going to be on after the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
Next
we're
week,
planning
yeah.
on it.
Yeah, I don't think.
You
there's
talking
any-
about the game, the Premier League match between Tottenham and Leicester, or what?
No.
Yeah, we should be on next week.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Carl,
They get them going with
the
it.
Martin Luther King. Let's switch gears real quick. You were in the march, okay? And you called to see if I was coming, and I said no, it's freezing. But I was going to come pick you up, give you a ride over to the march from the King Center.
You were gonna walk?
If they had this march in like June, I'm in.
But you don't do it now.
Oh, I can't, I will freeze and I will get sick
I'm
from,
gonna
It must
call,
be a warm weather walker.
I'm gonna
I am,
call
I'm
you
a
for-
warm weather
I'm
marcher.
gonna call you for the Veterans Day March.
I'll do it. When's that?
It's always bad, November.
No, I can't do that.
Got
No,
the wind blowing in, we come up that hill.
Guys, you know me. Anybody calls, I'm there to support
Ron.
you, but not Ron.
You're not willing to honor the men and women?
I'll honor you from on the,
No, John, you know what honor us? Toe to toe, right, Carl?
that's right.
That's right.
Hey,
Carl would do it, I mean,
you know how much I've helped the veterans throughout the years? A lot. But I can't do marches between November and let's say March. So if anywhere between April and November, and, Carl did the, thing and,
We'll hold them to it.
they tied in the, well, you know how many times they call us. Come on.
You
Even
know,
the gay pride parade, I was in there. I
you know,
told them.
Here's a moment in history, okay? The plains of Valley Forge. George Washington comes up to this cabin, and John and his little squad of men. John, let's go.
Oh,
Oh, wait a minute, General,
yeah, but no, they didn't fight in the winter.
What if John wouldn't have sat there in the winter?
They,
no, I mean, what if Washington needed him to go out there, remember when they crossed the Delaware?
Yeah,
They attack it.
It was
What do you
too
think-
cold.
You know what John's saying? Oh, no way, well,
but they didn't fight in the wintertime. They posted up.
They did it when they crossed the Delaware.
Well, that's because they had to. But they don't like fighting in the wintertime.
They did fight in the winter a little bit once in a while.
Well,
once in a while.
When they
But
had
you're
to.
right, they did have.
Yeah, they had to post
yeah,
up.
they
and
did.
I can see John.
They did
I'm-
go into winter
I'm
quarters.
getting out of here. I'm going to
Exactly.
the Sheraton.
So anyways, these, they had the King March, and you guys they tied, well, you guys, I don't know who exactly tied in it, but the community college march was involved in that. And I know we have this hearing coming up, and we have a bunch of, not even a bunch, but a few people that are against this. And I know that you're very in touch with what's going on. Why don't you give us and the callers like a brief update as to actually what the hell is actually going on?
Well, we absolutely appreciate the fact that that education, first and foremost, but that community college education was the central part of the theme of the Martin Luther King Day March.
Right.
And it was a very successful event. About 350 people participated. It was a beautiful day, by the way. Even though it was a little cold, it was very sunny out, and we had a break in the weather. It turned out to be a great day. But the community college is about what Martin Luther King has said. We need to participate. We need to be active. We need to show and force what we're committed to supporting in our community, and that's important. But people don't understand, I think, that a community college it's not just two words together. Community college is exactly what it says. It's the community's college. It's for whites, blacks, low income, young people, senior citizens, people transitioning from work that want retraining. It's for business leaders who need a trained workforce. It's for the taxpayers who want to ensure that these businesses continue to thrive here and pay taxes, and that the people they employ have a livable wage. A community college is about our community.
Right. You're the liaison, correct? Or the council for council?
Yeah, I serve as the chair of the community college committee.
Now, we have that hearing coming up. Where exactly are we in the process?
So, that's a really good question, because I think there's a lot of confusion and misunderstanding in the whole process. And the State Board of our application is in front of the State Board of Education. The State Board of Education put us up for a vote November 13th and 14th. When I say we, I mean our community college application. Third-party groups have reviewed our application, including the State Department of Education, who has deemed that Erie County's application meets or exceeds every criteria that we have to follow to become a community college. Under the Community College Act of 1963, they then cannot deny us a community college if we meet the criteria. We meet and exceed the criteria. But there is politics that has gone on at the state level where certain people are trying to make it appear as if we don't meet the criteria. And so they got the Board of Education to, instead of taking a vote on our application, they moved it to a public hearing to take place to get further clarification as to our application and what the elements of our application, whether they're verifiable. And when I say, and now all of that sounds kind of confusing, but the real confusion is that it's not really a public hearing.
That was my next question.
Yeah, it's not really a public hearing.
Well, what kind of hearing?
It's an evidentiary hearing. And I have to say that it's a very unusual circumstance for the State Board of Education to do this. In fact, when the title was put in for the hearing date, the formal title, and this was in December of 2019, it was 001 of 2019. I mean, it's the first time in 2019 this has happened. But previous to that, and we've now, have had to get attorneys involved, and we've chosen, because we're protecting the citizens of Erie County and the money that Erie County has put forward and the community has expended on this. We have to have experts in the field of administrative law to do this. The attorneys that we have in Harrisburg have told us in their 35, 40 years of law experience, they've only seen this happen 2 or 3 times. So this is not a normal circumstance. This is an evidentiary hearing that you have to have standing to actually participate in the hearing. So when we say public hearing, everybody thinks we come in and we go up to the citizens to be heard.
They're not gonna be allowed, right?
And that is not what this hearing is all about.
Because they've already heard it.
They've already heard it. So the State Board of Education has created a focus, a narrow focus, as to the questions that they think still remain unclear or unanswered with our application, and they will hear more evidence as to whether or not we meet. I mean, we meet the criteria, but whether or not the evidence that has been put in question, whether it's verifiable or unverifiable. And so that essentially that's what the intervention will become. So then it really becomes a trial.
Well, who would vote on it? I mean, to make the determination.
So the Board of Education.
But somehow people have gotten into their process.
Well, people
Yeah.
I mean, the State Board of Education is the ones that decided to do this process, but there were people pressuring their process.
Yeah, 'cause you would think it would be if I don't know if it's like the Constitution or says, this is it, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Then it should be dead at that point,
Well, it's become a political party.
Well, sure it has, because
Unfortunately, but there, there's no politics in what's best for the community when it comes down to it. Now, I believe, because I know that we meet the criteria, and the criteria is, do we have the population? And the answer is yes. Erie County is 49% of the entire population of all of northwestern Pennsylvania, of the 9-county region. So we meet the population. Do we have the wealth? And the answer is yes. The process that we chose was to use gaming revenue funds because they were set up to be, make transformational changes to our community.
Right.
And this is one of those things that we deem is a transformational change. So rather than directly using taxpayer money, we're using the gaming revenue money. Local philanthropy has stepped forward in a big way. Business leaders, other donors have stepped forward. So the wealth is there. And the third criteria is, do we have duplication of services with the curriculum? And the answer to that is, and again, people tried to object by saying we could tie in the Erie County Vote Tech and et cetera, et cetera. Erie County Vote Tech wrote a letter supporting the community college application, and there was an additional letter sent by 12, signed by 12 of the 13 superintendents of all the school districts, supporting and endorsing a community college and supporting the application, that it is not a duplication of services. So, you know, the process, we have to go through the process. It's going to be a lengthy process, an expensive process, that, you know, frankly, elected officials, President Pro Temp of the Senate, who does not have standing in Erie County. He doesn't represent us. Doesn't live here. He's not elected from here. You know, he is chosen to be the person that is going to cost Erie County a lot of money to continue to move our application forward. But it's an investment in our community, and frankly, we're not going to let somebody from outside our community tell Erie County what to do or what we deserve to have. We're going to choose that for ourselves.
Now, I've been hearing, you know, they're spending a lot of money on advertising for the NPRC. What does that stand for?
No, Northern Pennsylvania Regional College.
You know, somehow they have the tax, they don't want to help us out, but they have the tax dollars to advertise for this NPRC. So they're making it sound like, explain to the people watching what the difference is between the NPRC. Why do we want this community college instead of this NPRC model?
Well, I have to say, we have never said, the county, people involved in Erie County's application for a community college, have never said it's got to be us or them.
Yeah.
We believe that it's us together.
Well, correct.
That there's a place in the education system for the Northern Pennsylvania Regional College.
Weren't they supposed to, I thought I saw this in the paper, weren't they supposed to come here for something and they never showed you guys?
Well, they chose.
They chose to not
Correct.
participate or
Correct.
meet with you guys to discuss a joint venture, is that right?
Well, they chose to potentially look into a partnership, but when Erie County stood up for themselves and said that this is what we feel is fair, then they backed away and said, well, our two missions don't fit together.
Right.
That's what happened with the breakdown of the partnership.
What is the difference between what they offer and what Erie County needs?
Well, first of all, it's scalability. They don't have the ability, particularly through their delivery system, to meet the needs by scale of what a community county bricks and mortar college would bring. So that's the biggest difference. But again, I just want to emphasize that we've never said it's us or them. We've said we've got to work together.
Yeah.
But with that said, there are other people that have turned it into a us or them situation. And when it really comes down to it, if we explain the differences, number one, the regional college was created under legislative mandate. It's not a community college. It's a community college system. It's a new system created. It's a cyber system, delivery model of how.
They could not teach hands-on stuff then, right?
Well, they could, but they're not accredited to do any of it.
It's like a
That's the
glorified
thing.
Fortis.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can never get funding through the Community College Act because they're not a community college. So their mandate is created under legislative statute, which also means, by the way, that it could disappear at any time if
Yeah.
the winds of politics in Harrisburg would change. The funding could be
The
eliminated.
Community College Act is where, in the Constitution, or?
Is under Pennsylvania.
That would be under the, State Board of Education. So
The department.
yeah,
Under
so,
codified law or something, or?
Right.
Okay.
so if there's a switch in political parties, it wouldn't matter.
That's correct. Yeah, it's under state statute. It's created under.
How many students actually are involved in the NPRC?
So, I mean, the other big differences are, number one, people who say that they don't want taxpayer money to be spent, that's incorrect. NPRC is 100% funded by taxes that we pay, Pennsylvania state tax. Over the 5-year period, they have received somewhere in the neighborhood of $27 million of taxpayer money. They do not have to report to any agency of local or state government until 2024. They only have to give one report. They don't have to give yearly updates. They don't have to measure up to any criteria.
There's no expected outcomes.
There's no expected outcomes. They have 0 graduates in 5 years. There's less than 12 students from Erie County that attend. They have less than 30 full-time equivalent students in their whole system. And, frankly, most importantly, they're not accredited.
So it's not even like a Fortis, it's,
Yeah, so they were, using Gannon's, and every institution that starts
yeah,
has a 3 or 4 year window where they team up with an existing accredited institution, and then when they put their first graduating class through, then they get their own accreditation.
Yeah.
That's a process that you go through. We would go through the same process, but they've yet to have a graduating class and to achieve that accredited process.
so if you're a student at the NPRC, where do you go to class and who's your teacher?
Well, they have no full-time professors, so your teacher could be anybody that they put in their system to deliver that, pay to deliver that cyber
But it's through
class.
computer, right?
Mostly through a class. Now, here's another big issue. I mean, an issue that Erie County is facing, and that is that Erie County is not 100% cyber friendly. I mean, there's a lot of dead spots in Erie County, and you can go to a number of places out in the county, and they would tell you they have no access to internet.
Velocity.net just got okayed for some,
And they're trying to correct that
Carl's
problem.
right, though, there used to be, there are dead spots, places you wouldn't even think of,
So do these students, it's a one-on-one with student or?
Well, no, they have satellite locations that students can go to.
Okay.
And then they would sit there and have the process.
Well, what
delivered
happens if
through
you're a
through the
student
computer.
from Edinburgh and the satellite is in Harbor Creek in the middle of winter time?
You would have to,
Wow.
you would have to get there, or you would have to be able to tap into that from
At
your
home,
location. Yeah.
Now, let's skip ahead a little bit. Let's say that, that the state education, they say, okay, you get to community college. Where would it be? I mean, what are some of the locations? What are some of the preliminary, have you gotten that far, or where do we stand on that?
Well, all of that hasn't been determined, and we would have 60 days to seat a board, and they would start making those final determinations. But under the plan that the county council has put forward in working with our partners, one of the things that we've said for sure is there's enough tax exempt property in existence already, schools that have been closed,
Yeah.
other buildings that are empty, that we said we will not allow a property to be taken off the tax roll
No more
to be,
problem.
right, to be used as
Yeah.
a location. So it would, we would, I can say that, you know, the one determination we made is that we would use tax exempt property from somewhere, but the actual location hasn't been chosen yet.
All right, we have,
Like an old existing school or somewhere.
Correct. something
we
like that.
only have about 30 seconds left before, but we can keep talking after that. If there's anything that you want to add that would get it on the rebroadcast before.
Well, I would just say, first of all, to the two of you, thanks for having me here, and we can always talk about this issue. It is confusing, for a lot of people, but we are moving forward and we're making strides, and we are not going to stop fighting for the people of Erie County until our application has been voted on. That the people of Erie County are not gonna be treated like second-class citizens, and we are going to ensure that our application goes to a vote through the Board of Education.
Well, with that being said, we'll keep talking, cause, usually we stay a couple minutes longer, but as soon as that hour's over, the rebroadcast just, whoop.
Yep, that's true.
Yes.
But we can always have Carl back again.
Yeah.
Back, we love having guests.
I think people, if they understood about the community college situation, it would lessen some angst that some people have about it. Because the NPRC, that group, they're pouring. I mean, I'm hanging out at Planet Fitness and I'm looking up and I'm seeing their commercials on the television. I mean, where are they getting the money to do this?
It's taxpayer money. Taxpayer money. And by the way, all of that's gonna disappear after they think that they've killed.
Yeah, right,
community college application.
Exactly, once.
They're playing a game of providing, classes that are in Erie County's application to try and, they're gonna claim at this hearing that there's a duplication of services because they're already providing these classes.
Yeah.
But those will disappear as well.
Right.
As soon as the application,
Right.
is taken away.
Well, Carl, thanks. Kaz, you made it quicker than I expected. That's a good thing. You're on.
It looked.
Almost on time.
Well, I
And
had,
the treasurer's office is efficient over there.
yes, it is. It's doing well. And I had a funeral today. That's why I was late too.
Yeah, so that's very sad.
We had a 97-year-old veteran of Utah Beach died.
Al,
Yeah, you knew him.
super guy,
Al Ropoleski.
great guy.
Yeah, I think I met Al, yeah. Well,
His picture will be going on my office wall as soon as,
I want to, as a regular, so I want to thank you guys for doing what you do. I mean, people don't realize it's not easy to deal with the public and other elected officials more so.
well, not
to
many
get
people,
some things done.
not many people want to come on here because it's,
Nobody wants to come on.
Well,
because
you get
might
what
have to ask a real quick answer.
Well, yeah.
A real quick. Live TV is a little bit different than, especially when people are hitting you with questions.
well, we don't have Mike Shield to calls or anything, so.
No, so we're all unfiltered and it's right on cue. We don't have a 5-second.
But see what this proves is, and, when I was on council and I had to, with a member of the COG, there is over the years, city and county has worked together, the councils,
Yeah.
when we had to.
You guys need to do something about the.
Well,
I don't know, you can.
We have tried, but it really comes down to that, you need to, forget our executives, okay?
Yeah.
We deal in other issues in the legislative body. If the presidents can get together
Yeah.
and, just say, hey, we gotta be careful how we meet,
Yeah.
in numbers, but, we could get together and it's probably good because a lot of the problems, we're seeing it now.
You can't wait till somebody gets killed in order before everybody starts working together and doing something about it.
No, and
it
like, and
shouldn't
you
be
take
that
a case of this thing we're talking about,
Yeah.
that's a city, county, state problem.
It needs to be a joint, just like the daycare thing was. It was the state law, and then they're saying the code enforcement, and then neither one of them even knows what the jurisdiction is, let alone the laws are. You can't possibly know. I don't care who you are. Every single law, I mean, you don't know every city law and ordinance, you don't know every county. Well,
People are amazed when you tell them things like they think you can do that you can't.
Right. I mean, a lot of people, they don't understand the difference between funding for the park and why are we funding the park when the schools need help? There's 80%.
Or when we take grants for something that's specific.
Yeah, 80% of the people don't get that.
The best question I get is, they look at like, Erie's a third-class city, and so is Quarry. But then you got Mill Creek, which is bigger than Quarry, which is only a township.
Right.
And you see all the incongruities about
Yeah.
how the laws interact, don't interact, and
Right. Well, all right.
but I think in the future, going forward, we're gonna have to learn to deal more on a regional basis. I mean, what I mean by that is, we can't have our little fiefdoms anymore.
We have 4 new people on county council, and we have 3 new people on city council.
And it's a learning process.
Not only do they have to learn the process, but then they have to make a decision how to work with each other. And I don't know, man. I don't know. But hey, we'll have to see what happens. I have faith. Well, you're the treasurer now. You're not even on city council anymore.
No, I got my own issues now.
Yeah, you got your own problems. I'm sure you'll get a lot of people coming.
No, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but, it was time.
Well, it's good to be over. I mean, you have experience, and
They're obviously going a different direction, and
yeah.
Was a good transition for you.
what, pardon?
Was a good from council to the treasurer's office.
Yeah, I'd been controller before, so this is like, it's really what I like doing with a degree in accounting, so.
We'll be an accountant, yeah.
But I miss this. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I do miss this.
Right.
I miss the, being able to deal with nice people over the years, and I can remember, I met a lot of nice people, Tom Hagen, and I met Nick Scott, Rick Griffin, Tom Kennedy, people that have,
Right.
and then the citizens too, you enjoy working with them, and that part I miss because you're hands-on there, you're,
You don't miss being yelled at from the.
that comes with the terrain.
Yeah.
Usually when you get people off the side and you sit down and talk to them,
Explain it.
yeah, have a cup of coffee with them, and this is what I can do.
Most of it is
What would you-
misunderstanding.
What I always tell them, what would you do? Well, you can't. What? No, you can't.
Right.
Okay. What do you want to do? You can't do it. So this is what you can do.
Right.
And then they look and they go, oh,
Yeah.
I mean, Carl knows that. There's only,
Yeah.
we got the state that tells us how we can tax, who we can tax, what we can tax, what we can do legally,
Well, good luck. And Mike, whenever you're ready, we've been off the air for 20 minutes probably.
No, not that long.
Ted.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for filling
Hey,
in, John.
Thanks for
And Carl,
coming, Carl, Kaz. See you next week, I guess.
I need to get a hold of you next week.
You have been watching Taxpayers Hotline, recorded live from the fabulous city of Erie, Pennsylvania.